This is the TNA Wrestling August 8, 2024 full show results video. Steph DeLander is excited to announce that she's married, despite not going the way she wanted it. She admitted that her ceremony took place in a wrestling ring, and she also announced she invited the fans to join her for her honeymoon. The system makes their way to the ring, and Alicia Edwards asks if we want to know something, and the crowd speaks for the entire world when they respond with no. Edwards tells everyone to shut up, and Alicia brags that she still has championship gold and says they are the most dominant faction in professional wrestling. Eddie Edwards said everyone losing their titles was nothing more than a fluke and says they will do anything to get those titles back. Brian Myers says nothing has changed at all and says the system is the greatest faction in professional wrestling today, and if you think otherwise, you're delusional. JDC tells everyone to shut up, and they are literally just repeating each other's promos at this point. Moose says Nick Nemeth may be the TNA World Champion right now, but he'll never be the face of the franchise, and says he'll get the title back when the time is right, but for now, he addresses Mike Santana and challenges him to a match next week. Jonathan Gresham is backstage without the weird helmet, and Gresham says he hasn't been feeling well lately, but he's back and feeling better now. Kushida comes in and Gresham offers him a handshake, and Kushida contemplates and walks away as Gresham looks confused. Then we saw a triple threat match between Mike Bailey versus Jake Something versus Trent Seven, and the result of this match was Mike Bailey defeated Jake Something and Trent Seven by pinfall after hitting Ultima Weapon on Jake Something and qualifying for the Ultimate X match at Emergence. Tasha Steelz is backstage bragging about getting a victory over Giselle Shaw on TNA Explosion. Shaw shows up and tells Steelz that she stole their last two matches, and Santino Marella breaks up the two women and says we'll have another match next week with two referees to ensure things are fair. Alex Hammerstone approaches Santino Marella backstage, and Hammerstone says the X Division amuses him and wants to participate in Ultimate X. Santino Marella puts him in a qualifier match, and Hammerstone turns around and comes face to face with Eric Young, who tells them they have unfinished business. The next match happened between Kushida versus Jonathan Gresham, and the result of this match was Kushida defeated Jonathan Gresham by submission with the hoverboard lock. ABC are backstage bragging about being the greatest TNA World Tag Team Champions of all time. Speedball Mike Bailey comes in and congratulates them and asks them to participate in the upcoming Ultimate X qualifier matches. Ace Austin says they'll think about it, and Austin says to Bay that the last time they did something like this it did cause problems before them, but being a double champion would be pretty sweet, and Bay agrees. Steph DeLander is in the hot tub on her honeymoon, and she tries to call PCO but is sent to voicemail. Then we saw a match between Jordynne Grace versus Rosemary, and the match ended in a no contest, and Ash by Elegance attacked both women with a purple kendo stick, and the referee called for the bell. Josh Alexander comes to the ring and he's upset at the fans chanting, "You sold out," at him, and Alexander says he hasn't changed, the fans have changed. Alexander cuts a "you people" promo because the fans believe in Joe Hendry, and says Hendry is a meme, he's not a professional wrestler, and that he couldn't lace his boots. Alexander says he's the standard of TNA and all he's focused on is getting the TNA World Championship back. Alexander calls out Nick Nemeth and says he wants his shot at the title, and says when they have their match he's taking the title from him. Josh says when he beats Nemeth they'll just call him the same thing they called him in WWE, a transitional champion. Nick Nemeth comes to the ring and pretends like he's gonna speak, but he clobbers Alexander with the microphone instead and hits him with a super kick. Nemeth says he's a fighting champion and he can have his title shot next week, and Nemeth says he will end Alexander. The next match happened between Zachary Wentz versus Dante Chen versus KC Navarro, and the result of this match was Zachary Wentz won the match by pinfall to qualify for the Ultimate X match at Emergence. Steph DeLander is seen in her hotel room when there's a knock at the door. It's Matt Cardona, who says they have bookings and money to be made, and she promptly shuts the door in his face. The scene then cuts to PCO, held by two men, as Cardona viciously stomps on his head. In the main event of the show, we saw a match between Joe Hendry versus NXT's Wolfgang, and the result of this match was Joe Hendry defeated Wolfgang by pinfall with a standing ovation finisher. In the parking lot, Mike Santana and the system attempt to brawl, but security rushes in to hold them back and the show goes off the air.